Hello and welcome back to Chez Alex Desserts, where I share my best and easiest baking recipes. Today we are going to be making strawberry flavored cake pops. With only a few ingredients, these are super simple to make, and with just the right amount of butter to keep that flavor, but not so much that the cake pops are falling off the stick. This is a foolproof recipe that you can use for any kind of cake pops. But today we're going to be focusing on strawberry. So let's get into it. And of course, if you like this recipe and this video, make sure to like and subscribe for the channel. So to start off, you're just going to need a few simple ingredients. The first thing is a white Betty Crocker cake mix. And of course, to add to that strawberry flavor, we're going to use some strawberry jello. Now, I also use some strawberry emulsion extract. This you can buy at Michael's or on Amazon. It's not necessary, but it will enhance the strawberry flavor. This is also butter extract, which I use. Also optional, but it helps with that butter flavor because we're not using as much butter as we usually would, so that our cake pops are not falling off the stick. You're also going to need some Greek yogurt, which will be most of the replacement for the oil or the butter that's called for in the recipe. You're going to need 4 eggs, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, because we have to have some butter in this, and some whole milk or just some regular 2% milk. You also want to make sure that your cake pan is lined and sprayed. Here I'm using an 8-inch cake pan, but you can also go based on the directions of the box for different sizes. So the first thing you want to do is pour your milk and mix in your strawberry jello powder. You want to make sure that all of the clumps are out of the powder. So you're just going to mix it together, and once that's done, just set it aside. Then you're going to want to grab a large standing mixer bowl. You're basically going to combine all of your ingredients into one. So you're going to grab your white cake mix, then pouring in your milk and your jello, your 2 tablespoons of melted butter, half a cup of Greek yogurt, plain, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of the strawberry emulsion extract and 1 teaspoon of the butter extract. Then you want to add in your 4 eggs, and we're just going to give this a little bit of a mix here just to get it nice and combined. And then you can put it with the paddle attachment on your standing mixer and just mix that on medium-high for about a minute or 2. You just want to make sure that all of the ingredients are nice and combined at this point. You can also add some additional food coloring if you wanted to here. I think that it turns out a nice pinkish color, but if you wanted it more red, you can definitely add half a teaspoon or a teaspoon. So once that's nice and combined, you're going to pour your cake batter into your greased cake pan. Because I'm using an 8-inch cake pan, I'm only pouring in half of my batter here. So I bake them in 2 separate pans. For an 8-inch cake pan, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 and bake it between 20 and 22 minutes. Now you do want to make sure that you're checking in on your cake as it's baking, because you do not want to overbake this cake because the dough will not form together if you do. So just bake it until a toothpick comes out clean between 20 and 22 minutes. And as soon as it comes out the oven, you're going to cover it in tin foil for about half an hour. You want to trap that heat and the steam from the heat into the cake so that it's nice and moist when you're going to mix it. So leaving that for about half an hour, and then you can place this in your standing mixer bowl. I do cut the edges of the cake off That is optional. I only do this for the color. The cake itself will taste the same. I just really want to preserve that pink color for the strawberry. So placing this in a standing mixer, and you're going to mix it on a low speed. And at first it's going to look a little grainy like this, but eventually it will come together. It's just going to take a few minutes. So it's really about patience at this point. But after about 2 to 3 minutes, you'll see that the cake is going to start forming together, and it's almost going to come together like it'll look like Play-Doh almost and feel like Play-Doh, but softer. So as you can see here, the dough is starting to come together. It's kind of sticking to the bottom a little bit. These are good signs. And you just want to mix this together until it forms into one and it's really all mixed. So as you can see here, it's really forming into one. So it's ready to go. You just want to take this and you're going to roll it into a single ball and roll it into some paper towel. And then wrap it in plastic wrap. And you want to let this come back to room temperature. Usually it'll take about an hour to 2 hours for it to come back to room temp. So you can just leave it on the counter for that amount of time. Okay, so once your dough has cooled to room temperature, you're going to remove it from the plastic wrap and the paper towel. And this is kind of the texture that you're looking for. It's really like Play-Doh, but very soft, but firm enough that it will hold when you're putting it into a shape on a stick. So here, for this time, I used a strawberry cake cutter, but you can also roll them into balls. It's the same concept. You really just want to knead the dough like this in your hands. If you're rolling the balls, roll them into about 30 grams each. And if you're using a cake pop cutter like this, you just put the dough in directly. You do want to knead it a little bit before putting it in, just to loosen it and make a nice shape out of the cake pop. And then just removing it from the mold as such, depending on what mold you're using. You just push it down like this. And there you have a strawberry shaped cake pop. And depending on what method you're using or what shape you're putting these cake pops into, each cake box mix will make about between 24 and 30 cake pops on average. But that, of course, depends on the size of your cake pops. So once all of your cake pops are cut out, you're going to grab a little bit of your white chocolate and melt it in the microwave just really quick. Grabbing your cake pop sticks, you're going to dip them a little bit with some chocolate and just poke them right into your cake pops. You want to do this gently but firmly, and you don't want to push these in too far in. And you do want to let the chocolate and the sticks set in the cake pop for a little bit. So just setting those aside and letting them set while you're doing the rest of your cake pops. Then once all of your cake pops have their sticks on them, you're going to grab your chocolate and your coconut oil to make whatever you're dipping your cake pops into. You can use candy melts as well, but I prefer to use white chocolate because I like the taste better and I find it easier to use. So this is what it looked like after 30 seconds, and then I put it in the microwave for another 5 to 10 seconds, and this is what it looked like. So you just want to put it in the microwave at first for maybe 20 seconds and then 5 to 10 second increments until you get the consistency of the nice smooth dipping texture. Whether you're using candy melts or white chocolate, it is really finicky, so you want to be very careful when you're melting it because it's very easy to overcook your chocolate or your candy melts. So just keep an eye, especially if you're using a glass cup like I am. Okay, so once you get that consistency, you can add your coloring. If you wanted to do coloring or if you just want to do them white, that's fine too. Just mixing it in. I added a little bit of pink. And this is the kind of consistency you are looking for to dip your cake pops. And from this point on, it's pretty simple. You just want to grab each of your cake pops once they've set, and you're just going to dip them and shake off the excess. Now, my test to know if all the excess is gone is to stop shaking it for a second and see if there's still chocolate running down. That's usually a sign that there's more excess that needs to come off. And basically just doing it until it stops. And there you go. And you just keep doing that until all of your cake pops are dipped. And I do pop the dip in the microwave for 5-second increments after maybe each 3 or 4 cake pops, because it does get a little bit cooler as you're dipping. Now, of course, this part is optional. You can place the remaining of your white chocolate in a piping bag and pipe lines onto your cake pops or whatever design you're looking to do. You can add more color to your chocolate and drizzle it on. This is really personal preference. But once the chocolate has set, these cake pops are ready to go, and they are absolutely delicious. If you like this video and you want more recipes, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Let me know what kind of recipes you guys want in the comments.